This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. The government has revealed its plan to sell off Hobart's Elizabeth Street Pier to help fund the Macquarie Point redevelopment. The multi-million-dollar sale is expected to gain national interest, but there are concerns over the continued privatisation of the state's public assets.
Hobart's bustling Elizabeth Street Pier, the waterfront building currently owned by the government, but now it's up for sale.
There are no government services that are run from this site, and it seems incongruous that a government would own 56 service departments, have space for a bar or a restaurant.
The proceeds to help fund the removal of the sewage plant at Macquarie Point to make way for significant redevelopment. No businesses are expected to lose their lease as part of the sale. The Treasurer refusing to name his price, but it's expected to attract national attention.
It's going to be a multi-million-dollar transaction, and it's going to be one that's going to have a lot of appeal, so we would expect the government have timed it nicely and should be able to maximise the opportunity there.
The government already facing criticism over a lack of consultation.
They were clear with the Tasmanian people that they didn't need to sell public assets, and now they're selling public assets. I think every Tasmanian's got the right to ask which part of Tasmanian government assets will be sold next.
And at the end of the day, these places, like Elizabeth Street Pier, they belong to the people of Tasmania, and the people of Tasmania should be part of the conversation.
It comes despite the previous Labor Greens government selling public buildings while they were in office. Now an expressions of interest process will open early next year. Michelle Wisby, Southern Cross News.
Devonport mental health workers have walked off the job today for the first time in decades. They're joining the statewide protest against the government's 2% pay cap, saying if something doesn't change, services will suffer.
This team say the decision today to walk off the job isn't one they took lightly, banding together in a fight for more pay.
What do we want? Fair pay. When do we want it? Now.
The centre in Devonport helps around 140 Tasmanians living with serious mental health issues. The 10 staff say they're at capacity and fear services will suffer if something isn't done.
We're already seeing a downgrade of service. We're not able to meet demand right now, but the fact that we aren't able to recruit staff, we're relying on part-time and locum staff to keep this system going.
And that is one of the main concerns, that the 2% pay cap over 3 years isn't enough to entice new professionals here or keep current staff.
People who graduate tomorrow can be on a plane the day after, and they're not going to Queensland. They're going to the UK, they're going to America. If we want to keep people here in Tasmania, then we need to make it worthwhile.
It's a pay stalemate with the government that's being fought right across the state, with teachers and nurses also taking similar action.
We know that in Victoria, which is one of the biggest markets that we seek to recruit from, they've had reasonable wage increases over the last few years, and we're just simply not in the game when it comes to recruiting those staff.
But the state government is again sticking by its policy, today spruiking its spend on mental health.
We've already rolled out initially around a $95 million program for mental health services. We've recently augmented that. It's now more than $100 million that we're putting on the table for mental health services across the state.
Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
An experienced Tasmanian kayaker has died in Nepal. Adrian Kiernan, a regular on the state's adventure scene, was kayaking on a stretch of white water in the country's Himalayan region when things took a tragic turn. A friend with him in Nepal revealed the news on Facebook, remembering him as a man who lived life to the fullest. A local sponsor has also remembered Mr. Kiernan as a selfless athlete with a passion for adventure. He was 31 years old. Tasmania Police has today released the name of a 42-year-old Lauderdale man who died while swimming near Hobart on Saturday afternoon. Police say Nicholas Ricketts, who was also known as Ned, was in the water at Roaches Beach when he suffered a puncture wound to his lower abdomen. The injury was believed to be inflicted by a stingray, and attempts to resuscitate him were unsuccessful. Yesterday's floral tributes were placed at the scene. A report will be prepared for the coroner. A Riverside man accused of murdering Jake Anderson Bretner, whose torso was found near Myrtle Park, has appeared via video link in the Launceston Supreme Court. Jack Harrison Sadler has pleaded not guilty to the murder of the 24-year-old who went missing in August. Mr Sadler has been remanded in custody and will reappear in February next year. Meanwhile, a man accused of holding up a bank with a knife last year has also fronted the Supreme Court. Marcus Main appeared via video link and has been remanded in custody. The matter is expected to go to trial next year. A fire which caused extensive damage to a Devonport takeaway store has been deemed accidental. Fire crews were called to Rennie's on Tasman Street last month, finding the business well alight. Up to 70% of the accommodation at the back of the property was damaged. Today, the store is still closed as repairs are assessed. It's unclear when the popular takeaway favourite will be reopened. Well, the RACT's solutions to Hobart's increasing traffic congestion are being put to the public tonight. Members of the community are being asked to vote on 5 possible scenarios. But today there were claims some of the options will have little impact.
A crash on the highway this morning causing chaos on the roads. But traffic congestion make it even worse as the city continues to expand.
Hobart has got larger, our population's increased, and we've seen more visitors to the state. And a combination of all those factors has meant that motorists are starting to feel aggrieved.
The state's peak motoring body posing 5 solutions at a community forum tonight, all aimed at tackling congestion as part of a 30-year vision. 70 submissions from the public have already been received.
We're looking for the community to be engaged now to help us determine what key elements of our of the options available to us are going to best serve Hobart.
Solutions including an overhaul to public transport, an option the new Lord Mayor is pushing.
We really want to see the city deal be the catalyst for some new public transport services. So that's increasing the bus services, but also bringing on some sensible new services like light rail from the northern suburbs and also the ferries.
However, not everyone agrees.
They make the observation or the assertions really that public transport can substitute for car use, and the clear evidence is that it doesn't.
Instead, offering another option to ease the traffic.
So the real solution is, in the short term at least, is to create an arterial bypass around the CBD.
A solution will be presented to the state government early next year. Ruby Kamain, Southern Cross News.
A new Tasmanian Children's Commissioner has finally been appointed today, more than a year after the last one resigned. The role of the Commissioner is to remain independent and is aimed at improving the lives of the state's young people. It was announced today the former Chief of Staff to the Deputy Premier, Leanne McLean, would take on the role after being selected by an expert panel. Her predecessor, Mark Morrissey, resigned in September last year, following a long period of high turnover in the role. After more than a decade, the head of Tasmania's Women's Legal Service has handed in her resignation. Susan Fay started at the service 16 years ago and has since been a vocal advocate for women's rights. But revealed today it was time to take a break, saying her greatest achievement was teaching the next generation of lawyers to ensure the service's work can continue. She will leave the organisation at the end of the year. The issues faced by the state's older generation have been at the forefront of an annual meeting held by the Council of the Ageing today. It follows the initiation of the Royal Commission into Aged Care, with the state's peak body advocating for elderly rights.
Not discounting their rights means having high quality aged care, high quality health care, high quality mental health services and high quality dental services, and also the kind of financial support in retirement that they need.
The accreditation of 3 Tasmanian aged care facilities have been recently suspended. Members of the Newtown Seniors Club have spent the past 12 months knitting almost 500 items for struggling Tasmanian families. Clothes, blankets and soft toys have been donated to St Vincent de Paul to help those in need this Christmas.
Gives us something to do, and we're helping other people out that, probably can't do knitting, or they're out and having bad times and they just can't afford to go to the shop and buy expensive knitting.
The club has been donating knitted gifts every year since 2002. Looking at the day's business and finance news, with thanks to Tasplan, your local super fund, the Australian share market has closed lower, weighed down by APEC trade tensions and a financial sector hit by more banking woes. The ASX 200 index fell by 36.9 points. And a short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 73.05 US cents and 106.74 New Zealand cents.
Tasmania has continued its stunning turnaround in its Sheffield Shield clash. The Tigers lead by 263 runs at stumps on day 3, putting the blowtorch on a Victorian side stacked with baggy green hopefuls. The Tigers' first innings lasted less than 30 overs. The second stretched more than 5 times longer. But a mini batting collapse threatened to derail it all early in the day. Jake Doran went for 16, then Jordan Silk, who had been looking unstoppable, was robbed of reaching triple figures by Peter Siddle. When skipper George Bailey also went, the Tigers had lost 3 wickets for just 3 runs. It took the partnership of Matthew Wade and Tim Payne to get the Tigers back on track. 2 of the most experienced heads in the side slowed the Victorians' momentum. Payne reached 40 before his day ended, but Wade stuck around, passing a half-century. And while his batting partners fell, including Gabe Bell while Wade was on the cusp of a century, it didn't worry the 30-year-old, who passed the magic mark.
And that's another 100.
And he didn't stop there, slamming a sensational 6 to celebrate. His ton only inspired more runs, Wade knocking another maximum a few overs later, putting the pressure firmly on Victoria in what's set to be an intriguing final day. The Hobart Hurricanes has promoted Sasha Maloney to the captaincy for the upcoming Women's Big Bash season. Maloney says it was a surprise to be called up to the role, but the 26-year-old is keen to learn from former skipper Corinne Hall.
I also think that I probably perform a little bit better under pressure as well, so I think that's going to be something that might help my game.
She did her ACL last year, so she was coming back from that, but yeah, your captain's in your team and that won't change, and I think that will actually free her up to be the player that she wants, knowing that she's going to be starting in every game.
The team's in a strong position, with many players coming from the Tigers side sitting on top of the WNCL ladder. The Canes kick off their WBBL campaign against Perth on the 1st of December. And finally tonight, 5 local sporting clubs have been recognised in the National Good Sports Awards. The top prize went to the OHA Hockey Club, which was crowned Tasmanian Good Sports Club of the Year for its family-friendly environment. The South Launceston and Wiley Park Rockers Cricket Clubs, the Kingston Blues Netball Club and the Grassy Football Club on King Island were also recognised.
26 degrees today for Hobart. Launceston had a top of 24, 19 in Burnie with 20 degrees in Devonport. 29 was the state's top today for Scotts Peak, 27 at Strawn and Bushy Park. Ousden Grove hit a top of 26, Campania hit 25, 20 for Scottsdale and Sheffield with 19 degrees for Wynyard. On the charts, low cloud visible there about the north and also the northeast. A band of mid-cloud extends from South Australia to south of the Bight. Convective cloud visible over eastern states in an onshore airstream. Tomorrow a cold front crosses the state later, with the second front weakening over the Bight. A trough lingers over northern and central Australia. On the waters, northeasterly winds 15 to 25 knots, reaching 30 about the east, the south and the west later, with winds in the west tending northwest to southwesterly 10 to 20 knots and seas up to 3 metres. And there is a strong wind warning current for lower eastern, southern and western coastal waters from Wineglass Bay to Stanley. Looking to the forecast, 24 tomorrow for Hobart, Adventure Bay 21, 20 at Tarraleah, rain throughout. Rain increasing through the north also. Launceston 24, 20 degrees in Devonport, 22 for Bridport. Heavy rainfall in the northwest, 19 in Burnie and Marrawar, 25 for Strawn, with 20 the top for St Helens, 22 in Whitemark and Swansea. And the UV is still very high around Tasmania. Rain easing, then clearing through the north on Wednesday. Statewide showers strengthening throughout the day on Thursday, right around the state, with similar conditions expected again on Friday. Looking at your major centres tomorrow, 22 degrees and sunny in Perth, 20 the top with rain for Adelaide, possible storms in Melbourne, 27, 30 in Canberra and Alice Springs, 28 for Brisbane and 25 and sunny for Sydney. Cloudy in Hobart at the moment, 22 degrees, sunny and 20 in Launceston and 17 and sunny there for Devonport also. Back to you, Joe.
Lovely. Thank you very much for that, Sam. And that's all from the news team for now. We will, of course, see you right throughout the evening with updates. But for now, thanks for your company and good night.